Hey guys, and welcome to Plasmatic Productions. I just woke up at 11:30 in the morning in New York City. It is a beautiful day today. Now, given that the video that gave us the most number of subscribers was a music video, classical music, done by Todd Phillips. So, while most of our content is still, nerd stuff, gaming related, Lego related, or just running around the park related, I thought that I should make a little series of videos that for you music people. I think that this will be entertaining for all, but I can't speak for everybody. This series will be a journey of my relearning how to play the violin, because I played the violin for 8 years straight, and then I took a break during my first year of high school, and I'm going back to camp, and I want to get back into it, music related stuff at camp. I really love the violin, but so our first step today is getting out the violin itself and fixing it up, tuning it up. It hasn't been played on in a really long time. Now, my great-grandfather made this violin. Look at that. There we go. Let me turn around the camera. Oops. So this is the violin in all its glory. We have a little mute on there, a chin rest that I put on a while back. There's a cloth to clean it out. The humidity gauge, which is clearly way too humid for this violin on this, what is it, hygrometer. We have 4 violin bows. My grandfather kept an image of me in his case. So let's see, which bow should we choose? This is a small carbon fiber bow that I used when I played on a 3/4 size. This is, I think, a Chinese bow that he played on for certain occasions. This one isn't too special, and this one is the bow that my great-grandfather made. I'm gonna use the Chinese bow for now. Whoa, this is really loose. Let me get another camera angle. Yeah, so evidently nothing's been played on very much. Now, we don't technically touch the horsehair, because this is what this is made out of. But we want to tighten this so that it becomes more taut. So we're gonna turn this knob in the back, in case there were people out there who wasn't quite sure what this knob in the back was for. Alright, this looks to be getting better. Let's do a little bit more. Okay. The best way to figure out the best tightness is once we have the violin out, so let's do that. We're going to undo the strap. Oh yeah, I have a little crab thing, because you want to have it elevated slightly off your shoulder, and I just happen to have this thing that happened to just fit the best. Alright, so what we're going to want to do is we want to place the bow in between this thing, which is the black thing, which is called the fingerboard, and this thing, which is called the bridge. This is where we end up playing anyway. We just want to lightly bounce it, and oh look, we get a good angle. If it's not exactly touching the wood once we press down, this seems to be good. However, this violin is definitely out of tune because it hasn't been played on in quite some time. This is called the A string because it plays what is known in music as an A, because in music there are 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and then it just cycles back on itself. Now, what I'm doing is I'm playing the A string and the D string together, because the D string is the string that it's 1 string lower than the A string, together to make what's called a perfect fifth, because the D string and the A string play notes that are 5 whole steps apart. And those of us with a more trained ear can kind of tell what sounds like a perfect fifth. And this makes sure that the violin is entirely tuned with itself. Now, I can't say that I'm the best because, especially since I haven't played in so long, that I won't be able to tune it perfectly, but it'll be good enough. Sounds good. Now let's play the D string and the G string together. Now the G string is the lowest note, the lowest string on the violin. That's flat. We know that's flat because it's lower than how we want the G to be. Now that is a perfect fifth. Okay, but now we have to go to the highest string. We're going to play the A string and the E string together. Now the E string is almost always the hardest to tune. Okay, sounds good. Now let me see what I have in my case, any kind of good repertoire. I'm gonna lock this, oh, that's the wrong slot. I'm gonna lock this back in there and place my violin to the side and see what repertoire I have stored inside my case. Oh, yeah, by the way, another thing I thought I should mention. I have a fan going on right now, a ceiling fan, and that actually distorts the sound. So it may distort the sound a little bit while we're filming. However, pardon, I think it'll be good enough. This isn't like some professional recording. This is just me getting back into it. Okay, the first thing that you want to do when you practice is do a scale or two. So the first scale I'm going to do is called the G major scale. Now, a fingering is what finger you put to play what note. And this becomes very important later when you want to play more quickly. Even when you play more slowly, because you don't want it to sound like, oh, I have to figure out where to put my next finger. You want it to all flow very nicely. So the problem is, I don't exactly remember the fingerings that I'm supposed to do for a G major scale once I get high up on the E string, because I'm going for what's called 3-octave scale. 1 octave is once you reach the same letter note once. So if I'm playing a G, and I go all the way up to the next G, that is called an octave. Sorry about that. So the goal is that we want to do 3 of those. So let's just try doing 1 at first. I have to reorient my fingers. So if you see right there, I had to shift up into, I think this is 5th or 6th position. Now each position is where your hand is on the violin. So this is 1st position. Now 2nd position would be if I put, this is called my 1st finger, because we don't count the thumb as a finger and because you don't use it to play. The 2nd position would be where you put your 1st finger where the 2nd finger is in 1st position. So now back down to 1st. 3rd position is if where we put the 1st finger where the 3rd finger is in 1st position. And the same goes for 4th position. Now 5th position, it just kind of shifts 1 note up on the string because you don't have a 5th finger in violin. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And when you move between two positions, we call that shifting. Third position and first position tend to be easier just because they fit more easily in the hand. So for example, on the A string, during that G major scale, I switched from, so I'll go from the octave below. Now I'm going to shift to the third position. Now, those of you more mathematically inclined may have noticed that, wait a second, if it's a fifth between them, doesn't that mean that one finger, sorry, I think it's 4 whole steps that makes up a perfect fifth. Wait. My musical theory is also very rusty. So if you've been noticing, if this is a G and this is a D, then wouldn't this be an A? Then this would be a B, and this would be a C. Then wouldn't this fourth finger also play a D? Sorry. And wouldn't this also be the same note? The next string? Well, that is very true, because it actually gives you more dynamic range of motion, or dynamic tone quality, because it creates a very different sound. For example, on the next string, versus, it just creates an entirely different sound that you can manipulate however you want. With the fourth finger, that is. The open string, it's hard to manipulate with your hand. You can do some cool stuff with your bow to kind of draw it out. But if you've noticed, the notes you play with your fingers tend to have more depth than the notes you play on the open string. However, in a scale, traditionally, when you're going up, you play the note if it's in the progression on an open string. And when you go down, you use the fourth finger. All right, that's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna actually keep going today and make it a separate video, but okay.